I'm infant massage instructor Helen Thompson. Hello and welcome to First Time Mums Chat. Being a parent for the first time is challenging and changes your life in every way imaginable. To help ease your transition into parenthood, I aim to offer supportive, holistic approaches and insights for mums of babies aged 4 weeks to 10 months old. My goal is to assist you to become the most confident parent you can and smooth out the bumps along the way. This podcast is brought to you by My Baby Massage, so let's do this together. This podcast is for informational purposes only and does not constitute medical advice. Please contact a medical practitioner if you are concerned or have any medical issues. If you're breastfeeding, then what you eat is incredibly important. After all, getting this right will give your baby a great start in life. It is also really important when it comes time for them to start on solids. There is often a misconception that introducing your child to healthy food is expensive. In this episode, I interviewed Lydia Nuttall, a food and lifestyle consultant, who is passionate about all things food and nutrition. Lydia has tons of great ideas, and she also shared some excellent tips for those who are concerned with the expense of eating well.
Hi Lydia, and welcome to First Time Mums Chat. I'm so pleased to have you here today. Can we start by asking you to tell me a bit about yourself and how you became so interested in food?
My background's fairly eclectic, but I became interested in cooking and food at a very young age. I was only 10. My mother had to go back to work. I was a carer for my father, and he had very specific needs around food and dietary stuff because of interaction with his medicines and that. And so at a young age, I thought, no, I want to do this well and obviously be able to feed us. And it's gone from there. And I've had several other careers and done lots of other things, but throughout all of it, I've been really, really passionate about food being something that brings people together. You look at any culture, most cultures are focused around provision of food and water and good nutrition as much as they can. So the business that I have now, which is around providing support and mentoring and recipes and fun, comes from collecting together all the skills through various careers. So I'm a qualified teacher and qualified weight loss consultant. It's all really random, but pulling it all together is about, my passion is about people being able to afford good nutrition and not feeling that good nutrition and healthy food is something that's not in their financial capability and not in their skill capability either, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense, because I think a lot of mums think that good nutrition has to cost a lot of money, and it doesn't necessarily have to cost a lot of money. No. I mean, you can eat well without spending a lot of money. So I think that's a very valid point for first-time mums.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, I come from a childcare background, and as a baby massage, I do baby massage, and I have come across so many mums who ask me about what they can eat when they're pregnant, or but also when they've given birth and they're breastfeeding, and what they can eat to help to give their baby that good nutrition that they need. And I was wondering, with your expertise and knowledge, if there's anything quick and easy that I can introduce for parents that want to prepare that kind of food, which is cheap and affordable for them, and also give the baby the right nutrients that they need when they're breastfeeding.
Yeah, look, I think as soon as you say quick and easy, people think go to the frozen food aisle or go and get takeaway, whereas quick and easy and economical is what you're preparing for yourself. You are preparing when you're breastfeeding, you're preparing your bub because you're giving them good nutrition through the breast milk. But when you're doing your baby-led weaning, you're feeding them the same thing as you are. So really, a really simple rule to be healthy during pregnancy and after birth and for your bub is unprocessed, not processed.
Yeah.
So, and people go, well, what does that mean? Okay, well, look at how your supermarket is laid out. Your supermarket is laid out so that all the unprocessed stuff is around the outside. And the closer you get to the middle and the closer you get to the checkout aisle, the more processed it is, the more sugar it has, the more salt it has. So there's never anything, say, at the end of the aisle on sale that's healthy. It's all this stuff that seems quick and easy, but is actually really poor nutrition, especially as, you know, if you're pregnant or you're a first-time mum or you're introducing your bub to solids. So that rule of unprocessed rather than processed. And it's just a matter of, it's not just, of course, it's a matter of looking at how do I do this economically and breaking down that myth that to eat healthily is expensive. But I'll give you a really good example. You've got a pregnant mum, she's got a toddler. Dad's a big eater, she's a big eater, or whatever. You go to the supermarket and you go, okay, I need to do this for my toddler, I need to do this because I'm pregnant, and I need to do this for my husband. You can keep it simple by just, so for example, throw a roast in the oven. You put it in the oven, you can walk away, you can look after your toddler, you can do other things.
Yeah,
but within that roast, you've got all the things that you would use for baby-led weaning. You've got roast pumpkin, you've got carrots, you've got a simple gravy, you might have a really nice simple cut of meat, and it needn't be expensive. All of those things have fibre, protein, iron, good nutrients. They often are low food miles if you are buying local. And you are feeding your toddler, you are feeding your unborn bub for exactly what you would be just sitting down as a meal pre-having children.
Yes,
you don't need all those jars of stuff. So simple advice, it's not simple, but take a deep breath, and your toddler and your unborn bub will need to eat what you're eating. So focus on you keeping it unprocessed and simple, and your children will follow along.
And they'll learn to eat good habits because it's what they've seen you doing as well.
Yeah, totally, yeah. In terms of some simple ideas for pregnant mums or newborns, or, you know, there are, keep it simple, keep it pieces of pumpkin, make some little cheese muffins in those mini muffin pans, make an egg dish, like a frittata dish, and freeze it in adult size portions. That's fine. You don't need baby size portions, because when you thaw it and reheat it, you just take a little bit off the end and give it to your toddler, and you eat with them, so they see that this is normal eating.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think, that's because you see mums going out there and sort of getting all their processed food and doing all that, and it's just because baby-led weaning doesn't need to be difficult. I mean, I've experienced that in childcare. I mean, you just give them, you can just give them, as you say, bits of the pumpkin and bits of the broccoli. But I guess one of the things I'm just putting out there just for mums, of course, is you need to be careful with allergies and stuff. But then how do you know if they've got an allergy if they don't try it? I guess you've got to be cautious on that, but give them everything to try.
Yeah, my daughter-in-law-to-be in 6 weeks has done an amazing job with my granddaughter, who's now 16 months old. And she did a lot of research around it because she wanted Phoebe not to grow up with any food anxiety. I think that a lot of the things that parents do inadvertently is that they transpose their likes and dislikes onto this new person who has no preconceptions about food. So one of the things in terms of baby-led feeding, and my advice around that and what I've seen with Phoebe especially, is they're a clean slate, and so treat them as a clean slate. And if there are known allergies in the family, then obviously you're going to be more careful. If it's just likes or dislikes, that's not allergies, that's, let's try it. And at the end of the day, I know Phoebe's had a couple of reactions to things, and she's had, spots on her face, and we've all gone, oh, what do we do? Don't feed it to them again. And caution is good, but not to the point where you are imposing worry on that child that they've got no preconceived ideas of pumpkin, avocado. I gave Phoebe, I have every week, and I gave her avocado, blackberries, and a pickled onion. And she just ate them in the order she wanted. And there was no order. She had a bit of this and she had a bit of that. And I thought, that is a weird combination, but she loved it.
It's giving her all those taste buds too. She's getting used to all the different tastes. Like pickled onion's not one of my favourites because I don't like it. It doesn't mean that she wouldn't like it. You've got to, with the black currants and the avocado, they've all got all those different tastes. And I think, as you say, it's good to give them those flavours because they get used to things which aren't so sugary and they don't get this sugar addiction, which I think is dangerous these days.
Yeah, and I think that one of the things with baby-led weaning is so if you're starting off, if you're literally at the point where you actually want to introduce some solids, the way to work out what they like or what they're allergic to is just do one flavour at a time. So, on the plate, just pumpkin, on the plate, just avocado. And then as they get a little bit older and can deal with different things on their plate, that's fine. But one of the things that Sophie was talking to me about, she said, when you introduce something new, always have something familiar with it so they feel safe. And if they get obsessed with one particular thing for 2 or 3 weeks, give it to them. It doesn't really matter as long as it's healthy and it's not McDonald's or it's salt-loaded chips or sugar-loaded. I mean, if they get obsessed with eating a cucumber every day, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and they're still getting nutrition. They're still getting food. You're not starving them.
Yeah.
I'm still learning about solids myself, but I'm pretty sure that some mums are still breastfeeding occasionally as well. So even if they are only getting a bit of cucumber or a bit of pumpkin or whatever it may be, they're still getting breast milk. They're still getting bottle milk, so they're still getting that nutrition as well.
Yeah, that's right. And I think that, when I was a young mum and, I did pureed foods and all of that, and luckily went on to give my kids anything, and now they're not fussy with their food. But my second child became very fussy at 2 and 3 years old and would only eat pasta because the baby-led weaning wasn't around when I had children. And now when I see what mums are doing, it's fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think pureed food is okay. As long as it's done naturally and it's not bought from the supermarket where it's loaded with sugar. And if you're going out, for instance, and you want to have something quick and easy, so you just puree something that you've already made. Just quickly whiz it in the mixer before you go and put it in a little container, and bingo, you've got pureed pumpkin.
Yeah, in terms of economy and time, if you've got a casserole happening and you pull out a couple of the vegetables and you puree them and you put them into ice cubes into the freezer, you've got ready-made meals for that bub for the next week or two. Exactly. At about 10 cents a meal.
Yeah, exactly. And it's something, if you're going out, you can just pull it out of the freezer and just think, right, I don't need to worry about my kid. I've got the food there, which I think is good.
Yeah. I think the ready-made food aisle for babies needs to be avoided as much as possible because there's all sorts of things around that now. You've got all these jars that you then end up throwing away. You don't know what's in it. It does have preservatives and it does have things. And then if your child has an allergic reaction, how do you sift through the list of ingredients on that jar to find out what they were allergic to? The purer you keep their initial food, the more likely you are to work out what they like and what they don't like and what they may have a reaction to.
Yeah. And you, as I said before, you get them used to good food and you don't have to which I think is so important these days, because giving children good, tasty food is so much more valuable than giving them some junk.
Yeah. And in terms of economy, because one of my passions is about no food waste and keeping things simple. One of the things that I had when I had children, I've never not had one, is a pressure cooker and a slow cooker. And now I've got an air fryer. And I mean, the thing with having a slow cooker, which is also a pressure cooker, you can use very cheap cuts of meat, and you can feed a family of 4 or 5, for a quarter of the price of some of this other pre-made stuff out of the freezer.
And it doesn't take long. I've never used a pressure cooker, but I guess it doesn't take that long to do it. Is it less time than putting it in the oven? I'm not very up on pressure cookers.
Well, I've had a pressure cooker for ages because of my private chef work and everything. So I buy gravy beef, which is the shin beef. I don't cut it up, don't do anything. It goes straight in there with whole potatoes and whole carrots. And 45 minutes later, I've got a completely soft, equivalent to 8 hours in the slow cooker.
Oh, right. So it's very economical for first time, for mums who are busy. And
so time-wise and being able to use cheap cuts of meat and having something ready in under an hour, it's like, I think I paid $129 for mine, and it slow cooks, it pressure cooks, it does rice, it does virtually makes coffee as well. Do the washing up, that's the only thing. But it's as an investment, it's a great investment as a household tool.
And it's very advantageous as well, because as you say, it's quick. And if you've got a screaming toddler or a screaming baby that wants to eat and needs breastfeeding, just whack it in the pressure cooker and then go and breastfeed your baby. Yeah,
there's hardly any preparation required. And I'm actually about to write an ebook on pressure cooker meals, for time-poor families. So because I use it all the time, the body doesn't need.
Yes.
That we need that low carb and really thinking about that. So for first-time mums, it's that same approach though. It's that low carb, thinking about, we are what we eat. That's what I say. That's my tagline on my website. We are what we eat.
And I think that's so valuable, because we are what we eat. Because if you put good stuff into your body will thank you for it. And so will your baby's body thank you for it as well. Because you're teaching,
and
as I said
think
before.
That good nutrition with first-time mums and pregnant mums, one of the things that's not talked about as much is mental health. And good gut health is very linked to good mental health. So looking after yourself with good nutrition is going to help you with that mental health, where, your hormones are all over the place when you're pregnant, and they're all over the place, and you're worrying about absolutely everything as a first-time mum, because there's no first-time mum in the world that doesn't. And so that mental health is really important.
Yeah, and as you say, having good nutrition helps with that, because it helps us to become more healthy and not have to worry about. You don't have to worry to eat healthy. You can eat, as you say, you just put it in the oven and just get on. You don't have to think, oh God, help! What am I cooking and where am I going with this and what am I going to give my baby? It can be so easy.
And your plates of food don't need to be Instagrammable. I think that the Instagram and the MasterChef and everything have really put a lot of pressure on people to do this nice plate of food. Actually, it just needs to taste good and be good.
Yes, and it doesn't have to be that presentable. If it's not served presentably on a plate, it doesn't matter, as long as it's got the good nutrition on it.
Yeah, and if your toddler wants to sit up in their high chair and just literally eat off the high chair plate with their hands, and they're eating, let them get on with it.
Yeah, I think that's good to let them do that, because it's teaching them how to do it themselves, and maybe giving them a spoon so they can pick it up themselves as they want to, or mash it if they want to, or even a tiny fork or whatever. To use that cutlery, because so many parents are so afraid of giving kids, cutlery, because they think they're going to shop, but it doesn't have. You can give them small cutlery. It doesn't have to. You've got to teach them to be able to use a tiny fork or a tiny knife, and obviously don't give them a sharp knife. I mean, that's but
or just eat. I've got the most gorgeous photos Sophie sent me of Phoebe with her bowl, which she had baked beans, and she literally just tipped it up And the bowl is over her face, and the baked beans are dripping down here. But she was
That's classic. That would be a good one to put in one of your books if you're sort of doing a book on it.
That's what I'm thinking. It's real life. I gave her big thing at the moment is tzatziki. She absolutely loves it. So I was giving it to her on toast, but I gave up in the end and just gave her the tub. And she's got the tub here, and there's tzatziki here and tzatziki there, and it's like, and she's got her face buried in it because she doesn't want to waste any from the bottom of the tub.
Oh, and it's giving them that nice experience too.
Yeah.
Of tasting it.
Plus,
all
it
over
was
the
hilarious.
Because that's how kids feel, by sensory and by touch. So it's great. I think that's wonderful.
Yeah. Getting the tzatziki out from up her nose was a bit challenging.
Well, yes, but you can use a cloth or a wipe. That's no big deal.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's as hard as a first-time mum with everything. One of the things is take a deep breath and realise you're not going to kill your kid by giving them really, really good, simple food and letting them feed themselves and get everywhere.
Yeah, messy play is fun play.
Yeah.
And messy food is fun food because they're...
Yes.
They want to draw in it, that's fine, as long as they're having fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
exactly. Yeah.
You've got to give them that sense of having fun. So
yes, and understanding textures and temperatures and things like that.
Oh yes, obviously you've got to give it to them sort of warm but not too hot as well. I think it's important, because if you give it to them too hot, they're going to burn themselves and not going to want to have it again.
And don't be afraid when they're teething to give it to them semi-frozen.
Oh, okay, that's a good idea.
Even though we might not eat it semi-frozen, it's relief for them, and so then they'll actually eat it and get the nutrition when they're teething.
Oh, that's a good idea. That's because I always think, well, teething, I always think of frozen rings and frozen stuff like that, but semi-frozen food is a great idea because it's
so I've semi-frozen strawberries and cucumber and bits and pieces, and they love it. It's a relief, and so then they eat.
And they get the nutrition while they're, and it calms them down as well. Because if you've got a screaming baby who's teething and you're trying to feed them, the last thing they're going to want to do is to have food. So that's a great idea.
Yeah, and then mum gets stressed and the baby picks up on the stress and it just escalates. So semi-frozen food, no preconceived ideas about what you should semi-freeze. But
no, I think that's good, because I mean you can semi-freeze so many things, as you say, strawberries, even a bit of broccoli, cauliflower, cucumber, cheese. Did you say?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I didn't realise.
So you put it in the freezer for about 10 minutes. You cut, your little slices of like your straws of cheese. Put it in the freezer for about 5 or 10 minutes. Super cold, but amazing flavour. And great nutrition.
Oh, I've learned something from you about that today. It's always good to learn something new. Is there anything else that you'd like to add that we haven't sort of mentioned? I mean, I think we've covered most of. Is there anything else that you feel that would be important to mention?
I think one of the things that's really valuable is getting mums together to bounce ideas off each other so that they don't feel like, as a new mum, you think, oh, it's only me that's doing this. Am I the only one that's worrying? Everybody else seems to be coping so well with their baby. So I think it's really valuable to get mums together.
Thank you, Lydia, for sharing so many wonderful tips on nutrition. I'm sure you've given first-time mums lots of ideas and new thinking around this exciting topic. To find out more about Lydia, please visit her website at lifestylefoodandnutrition.com.au. That's lifestylefoodandnutrition.com.au.
Just rejigged on my website and had a lot of photography done, and now totally focusing on that lifestyle, food and nutrition aspect. So it's definitely there and all the photos are up. It's got about 70 recipes on the website that are printable, and the recipes also have the nutrition facts down the bottom if you're watching your carbs because you've got gestational diabetes or you're pre-diabetic. It looks at your protein levels and things like that if you're trying to, you know, keep your proteins and your iron up because you're breastfeeding. So yeah, definitely there's lots of information on my website, and there's also the descriptors of all the workshops and programs that I run as well.